All right, guys, the next part in talking about scatter plots is reading scatter plots. And the reason why we do that is because scatter plots are just a part of everyday data that we use in the real world. So in order to use that data and productively use it and use it in real life, we have to be able to read it just like anything else, okay? So we're going to talk about how, if we're given a scatter plot, how we're supposed to read those and make sense of it in real world situations. My goodness, okay? So let's look at number 8 to begin with. It says a company's stock price since it launched in 2006 is shown below. And it asks, A, what is the approximate stock price in 2015? So what we're going to have to do is look at your axes and find which one is talking about the year. Okay, and the one that's talking about the year here is our x-axis. Notice I've highlighted it there. All right, now let's look at how our years are being counted. So yes, the larger numbers look like they're counting by twos, right? We've got 06, 08, 10, 12, 14, 16. But look between those years and notice that we've got smaller tick marks. And what those smaller tick marks tell us is that we're actually counting by ones, okay? So right here would actually be 05, then we have 06, 07, 08, 09, 10, so on and so forth, okay? So it's going to be pretty easy this time to find our years because they are counting by ones. So we're looking for the approximate stock price in 2015. So since we're counting by ones, we're going to look between 14 and 16 and just follow my little blue arrow right there. That would be 15. Okay. So we want to know the approximate stock price in 2015. So what we're doing is looking at this dot that is on the 15 mark and finding out where it reaches on our y-axis, okay? So we're looking at where it connects on our y-axis. And notice that it says approximate in our question here. All that means is you're not going to find a perfect answer, and that is okay. You're going to have to do a little bit of estimation. That's the cool thing about scatter plots and data. You don't have to have it perfectly on the number. You are going to have to estimate a little bit. So notice that our dot is between 20 and 25 because our y-axis is actually counting by fives. So it's not quite halfway between 20 and 25, so I'm going to call it about 22. And since we're counting in dollars, I would say $22. Now let's go to B. So B says, in what year was the stock price $35 per share? So this time, they're actually wanting us to start with the y-axis, They're wanting to start with the y-axis because they're starting with dollars. So let's go to that y-axis and notice that $35 is going to be between 30 and 40 here. All right. So what our job is to do is to go on that line, that 35 line, and find where there are dots. And already in my little green highlight, I have found 2 dots here. So I want to see where they connect. So this first dot looks like it's going to 2010, and the second one is going to 2012. So that means in 2010 and 2012, stocks were $35 per share. Okay. Now, C asks, what is the relationship? What is the relationship? So that just means, is it positive, negative, or none? Okay, so if I shrunk myself down and put myself on this first dot that I've put my little ugly arrow in red to, if I shrunk myself down, would I have to hop down to most of the dots or hop up? Now, I would have to hop up to the next one right here, but from then on, you're hopping down. Okay, so that means we have a negative relationship. All right, negative relationship. All right, let's go to number 9. Olivia bought a used car in April. The graph below shows the odometer reading each month after she bought the car. All right, now before we start on this problem, I want to make a point of something. Notice that they say she bought a used car in April, okay? Then I want you to look at your graph. Before we even look at the questions, let's look at our graph. Notice that they have months down here on the x-axis, and they've numbered those months, okay? So that means that her first month would be right here. Even though they don't label it 1, it's got that little tick mark. Her second month would be here for 2, and so on, okay? So that means that actually her first month right here would be a month after owning it. So this, where she is at the beginning here, remember that when you're on the y-axis, that is your B or beginning. So when she's right there, she's actually in April right here, okay? So that means after a full month of owning it, what comes right after April? May. okay? And then so on and so forth. So we're actually numbering these based on the number of months she's owned the car. So don't get yourself confused and think it means like January, February. January is your first month, February. You know what I'm saying? Remember that she bought the car in April, okay? Now, let's move on with the question. Oh, another thing. In case you're wondering, an odometer on a car just tells you how many miles the car has been driven. And that's important for this question because that's all it's asking us, okay? So let's look at A. Approximately how many miles were on the car when she bought it? So remember, when she bought the car, she has not even rolled it off the lot yet. So she is at the beginning of owning it. So that means we're going to the y-axis, okay, which I just highlighted in green. So is there a dot on the y-axis? Yep, there sure is. And it looks like it's between 2 and 4. Okay, we're counting by 2s this time, all right? So it looks like it's between 2 and 4. So, of course, we know that the number between 2 and 4 is 3. But I want you to notice something else before we move on. We're counting in thousands of miles. So what am I going to have to add on to the end of that 3? Or what am I going to have to multiply that 3 by? 1,000, which makes this 3,000 miles instead of just 3. Okay? All right, let's move on to B. So approximately how many miles were on the car in July? Now remember, we're going to have to start with April and go on that way. So I'm actually going to count those out loud and just track myself to get to July, so you can do that with me. So we've got April, May, June, July. So there's July right here. Okay? And let's look at where our dot is. So notice that this tick mark right here is 6. So it's kind of between 6 and 8, but it's closer to 6. Now, again, they're asking you to find the approximate. You don't have to be perfect at this because Lord knows I'm not. So we're just estimating. So it's between 6 and 8, but closer to 6. So I'm going to estimate it to be about 6,500 miles. Now, if you had 6,700, 6,800, whatever, that's fine. You can estimate it however you want. That was just my estimation because I saw that it was between 6 and 8, but closer to 6, okay? And I'm going to erase some of my mess so you can kind of get a better look at that dot, and I'll highlight it here for you. So it was right here, and it was between 6, this is 6 right here, and 8. All right, now let's look at C. In what month did the car reach 14,000 miles? So this time they want me to start on my y-axis, okay? So I'm going to start at 14,000. So remember, 14,000, we're counting by 2, so it's going to be right here, following my little green arrow, between 12 and 16, and we're looking at what month did my dots hit 14,000. And you see here there is a dot right there, and I'm actually going to highlight that instead because highlighting is kind of easier to see here. So I'm going to go 14 and highlight across, and we see our dot here. And I'm going to show you where it lines up with the x-axis. And it looks like it lines up here between 8 and 10, so month 9. And I'm going to do like I did a while ago. I'm actually going to start from the beginning and count up so I can start with April. All right, so we've got April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. So she actually reached 14,000 miles in January. Okay, so that was my brief review of analyzing and reading scatter plots. Love you guys.